Hello, once again, everyone. It's weather for Weather Geeks time here on Tuesday, October the 14th, 2014. We've got a big whopper of a storm system, as promised, moving across parts of the Midwest here this afternoon. Low pressure centered around Chicago. And then we have a cold front out here. Warm fronts kind of in through here. And we're in the warm sector here this afternoon. It's warm, it's muggy. We'll show you the temperatures in just a second. This is just kind of a general overview, first things first. And we do have the threat for severe weather this afternoon, not here locally, but down to the south, where this storm has caused a lot of problems over the last 24 to 36 hours. This is a tornado watch in western North Carolina, upstate of South Carolina, and clips a few counties in Georgia as well. There'll be additional tornado watches and warnings, certainly before the day is through. Severe thunderstorm watch down in parts of Florida. The severe weather threat's going to stay down there in the Carolinas and the southeast this afternoon, while we will have clouds, some sunny breaks, and yes, indeed, it is warm outside. Let's check out those temperatures as we head into the 2 o'clock hour. It's in the lower and middle 70s out there. Now, I thought we'd have a little more sunshine than we have so far. A little pocket of sunshine has kind of missed us to the east, kind of a heart shape to this hole in the clouds over towards Franklin, Oil City, Meadville, Du Bois as well. And here we do have a couple of showers as I'm recording this, roughly along I-77 from Cleveland down towards Dover and New Philly. But this is real light and spotty rain. Some of it may not even be reaching the ground. You might run into a sprinkle here mid-afternoon, but most of our rain today, as I've been telling you, is going to fall after sunset and into the overnight hours tonight. Some of this stuff out here is going to start to pick up in intensity and coverage and come east. We'll show you the computer models in just a second to give you a sense of the timing. Take off the satellite picture and the radar here, just give you a sense of the temperatures across the country this afternoon. Let's bring up those temperature contours. There's definitely a big change on either side of the system. Look how chilly and raw it is out here in the Midwest from Missouri up through Iowa and Wisconsin. But actually the air mass behind that is not all that bad. So we are going to get a cool down here behind the system, but it's not going to be a real sharp, dramatic thing. Temperatures are going to fall off a cliff. It's going to be kind of a gradual trend back to normal and then a little below normal as we head towards the upcoming weekend. All right, so let's focus on the short term. Take off all the current information here. And as usual, when we have some precipitation to show you, I'm going to start out with the high resolution rapid refresh, or HRRR model, HRRR. This is a model we use in the real short term. It does a pretty good job, although it tends to overdo things every now and then. For instance, here's what it thinks the radar looks like right now. Now compare this to what the radar actually looks like. You know, it's got areas of precipitation in generally the right areas. It's showing a little bit too much. Again, here's the model. It's got the showers and thunder out in western Ohio and light rain painted in eastern Ohio. And while that's not a bad idea, the reality is there isn't quite that much rain in eastern Ohio. So just an example as to how this model can overdo things a little bit, but it's good for timing things. We'll skip ahead a couple of hours to 4 p.m. here. And again, this stuff around eastern Ohio, western PA is probably a little overdone. Could you have a quick shower or a sprinkle? Yeah, but it's probably not going to look quite like the model has it here. Notice our band of showers is starting to pick up in intensity probably as it approaches Columbus. There's probably some thunder and lightning trying to be mixed in with this at 4 o'clock. We'll skip ahead to dinner time here, 6 o'clock. Simulated radar on the HRRR. And again, I don't quite buy this, at least how expansive the coverage is. I think there will be these spotty showers around, but a wall of rain like this, I'm not sure if I buy that at this point. So the bark is worse than the bite, in my opinion, on the model here at 6 p.m. But notice how sharp, more well-defined our band off to the west is at 6 p.m. It's gaining strength as it comes east. Skipping ahead a couple of hours to 8 p.m., this is after sunset now. And that initial wave probably has weakened. Again, the model probably a little overdone with it to begin with, and then even the model here, which tends to be overdone with things, continues to weaken it as we await that main thrust of showers and storms. It's not quite even here at 8 o'clock this evening, and I'll skip ahead a couple of hours then to 10 o'clock. And this is when a lot of us, I think, are going to start to get wet. The main line is probably weakened at this point. Notice, you know, it's as I back up a couple of hours here. Notice how it just sort of loses a little bit of gusto as it comes east. So we're going to get rain tonight. Is there a big threat for severe weather? No, not at all. In fact, I'm becoming a little less concerned about any minor flooding problems tonight. I'll show you a couple of things here in just a second, but I was concerned last night that with this system we might get 2 inches of rain in some spots. I'm less concerned about that today. I think an inch, inch and a half will be somewhat common, but 2 inches might be asking a lot locally Might be a little different out towards Mansfield and Columbus. And again, as we head through the overnight, that main kind of thrust of rain and thunder continues to push east. Here is midnight over towards I-79 in PA. A couple of hours after that at 2 a.m. We've got rain certainly here and there, but the heaviest of the rain's probably at this point in the far eastern part of our viewing area, east of I-79, or perhaps even a little farther east than that. Before I move on from this, I want to talk about the wind quickly as I bring back up a little bit of current information here. Wind gusts this afternoon, locally here in Youngstown right now, we're at 22 knots, so we're getting into the 20s to around 30 miles per hour. And the winds are even a little hotter and heavier out towards Akron and Canton, and especially in the flat terrain out in central Ohio. We're getting some gusts over 30, 35 knots, 40 miles per hour or so this afternoon. So it's real windy in central Ohio as we expected. As I bring up that same model I just showed you, but we're going to show you wind speeds instead. And I'll back up to, to right now. At least when I'm recording this, about 2 p.m. And I'll just show you what this model expects the winds to be doing here this afternoon. I do think overall the windiest areas will continue to be central Ohio and northern Ohio, where we have the green here. But as I roll this forward, you'll notice that some of that green coloring we're going to try to sneak into the WFMJ viewing area. The legends on the left, green, and these are sustained winds. Could be up in the 20s to around 30. That means there could certainly be a higher gust here and there. So it's a windy day. Nothing damaging or anything. And overall, again, the highest winds will remain out toward I-71 in central Ohio. My internet connection, of course, is slowing down on me, so we'll move on from that. All right, I wanted to talk about the rain tonight. When I was looking at models last night, a lot of them were painting, up to 1.5 inches, 2 inches worth of rain. These are the last 4 runs of the SREF model, and these are the averages of 21 members of that model. So these are the 4 averages of the last 4 runs. The oldest run's the red one up here. And, the average rain from that run had, 1.75 inches. But the most recent run is the blue line here. And the average is back down to about 1 inch. And that's just the average. That means there's several members of the model that are below 1 inch. So, I think that while we're going to see some bouts of heavy rain here and there tonight, I think most areas are going to get 1 inch or perhaps even a little less. Does someone get a little more than 1 inch? Sure, but most places are going to check in under 1 inch. So I'm less concerned about the heavy rain threat for tonight. All right, let's move on as our video is getting a little bit long here. This upper low is going to stall nearly overhead Wednesday into Thursday, and that means showers here and there. The steady rain is over towards the East Coast, but we'll be dealing with those pop-up showers Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, I think it's a fairly cloudy day. The model, the GFS, has a little bit of green here, making you think, hey, it might rain. I guess I kind of doubt it. I think that's just low-level clouds for at least the first half of the day. We should be dry for high school football as we head into the weekend. Looking chilly, but not much in the way of rain. Again, the GFS wants to paint a little bit of light green here. Could there be a shower? Yeah, maybe. But at this point, it's probably a 20% chance kind of a thing. Same idea for Sunday. I want to talk about the long range as we wrap things up. Something that's interesting that happens, our local weather sometimes can have origins or can be influenced by things that are going on way out in the Pacific Ocean. And if you look at the upper level wind flow here as we go through time, one thing I want you to pay attention to over on the left-hand side is, okay, there's a big trough over the eastern Pacific. That's this right here. Notice what happens here as we head towards late this week. Notice this blue blob on the far left that's heading into the Gulf of Alaska. That is the remnants of the typhoon that just impacted Japan last week. It's made it all the way across the Pacific, and now it's interacting with that trough over the eastern Pacific and deepening the trough. There's a common rule in meteorology that a lot of people follow about a recurving typhoon. When a typhoon way out towards Japan in the western Pacific recurves, and what we mean by that is starts heading back north and then east and recurves out across the Pacific, in 6 to 10 days down the road, a lot of times that causes a trough to form, a trough of low pressure in the eastern U.S. And sure enough, that's what's going to happen here. As that typhoon enhances the trough in the eastern Pacific, big ridge is going to bubble up across the Canadian prairies and across the Rockies. So you got a trough here, ridge here, and it's just like a wave on a pond. When there's a ridge just immediately downstream, there's a trough in the water, or in this case, the air. So yes, there's going to be a trough in the east this weekend into next week. And bottom line for you, I'll bottom line it, is that means it's going to stay pretty cool. It's going to stay below average. But it's just kind of interesting how systems that originated way out towards Japan can 6 to 10 days down the road have an influence on our local weather. Trough pumps up the ridge across the Rockies. The ridge that pumps up means that a trough has to form downstream. That trough is over the east. That means cool weather. All right, I'm over 10 minutes. Thank you for watching Weather for Weather Geeks on this Tuesday. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.